Greetings, fellow gamers. You know what?
You got me.
I love playing survival games. Sometimes I feel like my dignity level needs to be lowered a tad bit. You know what I mean? The innate desire to humiliate myself by spending what little I have on yet another waste of sloppy-toppy survival game project that is definitely going to be different this time. And if you know anything about just how saturated that market currently is, then you can probably imagine that it's filled with abysmal garbage. Now, finding a good survival game is actually quite a challenge. So challenging, in fact, that when you see someone say that survival game is really good, you can instantly assume that in actuality is mid at best. And that's if you're being generous. Because in cruel reality, most of the commonly played games are landed straight into the middle. Not great, not terrible, just the good old survival slop. And while unique survival games do pop out every now and then, usually it's once in a black moon. But what even is a survival game? Well, it's in the name, dummy. Literally about surviving. While all of the games differ greatly, with some focusing more on the realistic aspect of survival, others focusing on building and sandbox, and some focus on ginormous bonkers, but still, they have something uniting them. It's a game where usually you start alone with nothing, get hungry, eat food, avoid threats, get sheltered, and try to keep yourself safe. And we all know the most popular one around. The one that is solely responsible for skyrocketing this, at the time, fresh new genre. And of course it's Minecraft. And Minecraft is at least, well, was really good. It really redefined the genre, and there were numerous amounts of games that tried to copy it in one way or another. And you know, when I was a kid, playing it around 13 years ago, I was addicted to it. Arma 2 DayZ and OG Minecraft are what really introduced me to the survival genre. And while I enjoyed Minecraft a lot, I stopped playing it and haven't played it properly for at least 10 years now. Why is that? Because there was always just something missing. Let's just say there's a reason why it's so popular amongst kids. It's just so simple. The survival aspects make zero sense. The crafting and the mining and the building and the surviving, it's so basic. They skip so many crucial steps in evolution. You can go from a tier 1 to a max tier in just an instant and never truly feel like you're in any danger. And most importantly, the in-between stuff, like building and crafting, is lukewarm and bare bones. That and even after years and years of updates, they never really expanded on it. Instead, they just kept adding goofy mobs and features. Because unfortunately for me, the game never intended to be about survival. The game always wanted to cater to kids. It always wanted to be simple. It wanted to be colorful and cartoony. It wanted to make absolutely no sense. And that is okay! I say let them have it! And yes, I know Minecraft is very moddable. You can spend days and weeks bloating it up with bowels of misery in hopes of getting a great modding experience that all breaks every time your bowels move. But I always wanted a game just like Minecraft. But imagine this, hardcore survival, where you start in the Stone Age with nothing and progress technologically through Copper Age, Bronze Age, Iron Age, etc. Where building actually matters, where you do things by hand, where every small progress, innovation, and creation is an actual achievement. And all this integrated in the core base game, where you wouldn't need mods to straight up overhaul the game, but rather to tweak and enhance it, and expand on it. I needed something to hurt me, something to tire me down, something to have its way with me, something. Oh. Yeah, it's vintage story time. And honestly, I was putting off playing it for a very long time because I expected it to be just like Minecraft but slightly less simple. Because if you didn't know, Vintage Story actually began its life as a Minecraft mod. I expected to be disappointed. At the very least, I just expected it to feel like extremely heavily modded Minecraft. But no, from the very moment you start the game, you feel it. Something is poking through your trousers. The tingles in your crotch area are erupting. This game is it, and you know it. Vintage Story is rugged, it's grounded, and yet even in vanilla, it is so much more than any other game of its kind. There are actually two survival games that are my absolute favorite. One of them now being Vintage Story, the other one we'll keep for a different video. For the sake of a fair review, I will try my best not to compare Vintage Story to Minecraft and talk about it as its own game. So, now that we're here, is Vintage Story really worth a drop of your seed? And before I answer that, need I remind you that I am streaming regularly here in my YouTube channel, and you're more than welcome to stop by and shit out a stink pillar in the chat, and I will make sure to read it, analyze it, and probably call you a slur. So make sure to tune in if you want to watch me try to civilize my server. It's not going too well, guys. Look at his hands wobbling. So first of all, let me talk about the main thing I'm not really a fan of, and that's the story of Vintage Story. I know that the fans love it, and I know I'm in the minority, but I'm gonna say it, I don't really care about the steampunk theme of the lore, nor do I like the author's sexual obsession with gears. Gears everywhere. You find gears, you play with gears, you revive with gears. Hell, your sanity meter's a gear. And guess what you see when your sanity goes down? That's right, gears. You know what I'm saying? Keep the steampunk out of my ancient and medieval fantasy. But if you're like me in this regard, keep in mind that all of this does not in any way impede with the rest of the game. And if seeing any steampunk elements at all ruin your vibe, all of the lower elements can be disabled before you start a new world. So it's more of something extra developers came up with to keep the game more interesting, which is super awesome in my opinion. But I still don't disable them. I just avoid the story-related dungeons most of the time since no one is forcing me to go there. So now that that's out of the way, I'm not really going to be talking about lore, just meat and potatoes. I won't explain everything the game has to offer because that video would take a millennia, but I will word it from the perspective of what you might expect from your first time playing Vintage Story. And with that being said, you launch the game, set some preferences, and you generate yourself a lovely world. And what is the first thing you notice? You start. Punching trees does nothing, every animal runs away from you like you work for PETA, and your character sounds like he swallowed a local school band. See, what makes Vintage Story awesome and fun is that it follows a very simplified, but still correct process of survival and advancement. They went out of their way to make the realistic survival aspect fun and gratifying. The major goal of yours personally in this game is to proceed throughout the technological ages. To get literally anything done, you need the most basic tools. So welcome to the Stone Age. Lay that ass on some grass and start sniffing for rocks, which there are many kinds of in the game. Some are softer like a glamourite, and some are harder like granite. The harder ones can also be used to make first primitive tools, but none of them come close to flint, as flint makes for the best stone tools around. So you find some flint, and then find some more, and then smack them against each other to form basic shapes, sharpening and forming them into your first set of equipment. It's called knapping. So keep knapping, you dirty knapper, and then knap some more, because stone tools break really fast. Therefore, get used to hoarding sticks and flints, and keeping them in your inventory on speed dial. But wait, you can't, because unlike a certain other survival game, you don't have a prison pocket ready from the get-go. You need to worry about your inventory storage. You have 4 inventory upgrade slots that you can fill with backpacks, each increasing your overall inventory based on the amount of backpacks it is. As a naked troglodyte, the best you can hope for is creativity and improvisation. So you press H to open the built-in in-game encyclopedia, where you can very easily find every single crafting recipe, any item, as well as tutorials and processes with a quick search. So after doing that, you jump into the cold lake to harvest some cattails, and then you turn them into reed baskets that give you your first basic inventory. Too bad this whole process made you quite hungry. Time to make a fire, hunt something in the wild, and cook yourself something succulent. Make a fire starter, cut down some lumber, then break it into firewood. Chase some boars, only to quickly find out that boars fight back. Go into the woods, get chased by wolves, find a bear. Look at all that meat. Get 2-tapped by the bear. You also might get distracted by the fact that the bear moans really funny when you try to attack it. Also, there are many types of meat, and lots of wild predators such as wolves and bears drop bushmeat, which barely restores your hunger and cannot be used for cooking recipes. That's why the early game mainly consists of you picking mushrooms and berries, as well as fishing, as that's the easiest way of acquiring food at the time. You finally fill your belly, but oh boy, it is getting rather dark. Gotta make sure you aren't homeless, or the homeless will make your entrails their home. And you quickly notice you cannot make building blocks for shit. Can't make planks because you need a saw, can't make cobblestone because you need a pickaxe to acquire it, so you settle for log cabins, dirt houses, or mud bricks. That should do it for now. You also make a crappy crude door that annoyingly breaks every other time you try to open it. Best keep it that way because, as you may heard, there's some weird noises outside, and they're coming from these floating shit stains. And you guessed it, these rifts open all over the world randomly, and they summon horrors beyond your comprehension at night or in dark spaces. So a crude door suddenly doesn't sound so bad, does it? Well, lest you want to get gang-dangled by grey gnomes and eldritch monstrosities. And here we are, sitting in the mud hut, munching on some bushmeat and laying on a hay bed. Amazing. What's next? Well, the next major step in evolution is pottery. Pottery allows you to craft a whole heap of new things. Storage vessels, cooking pots, bowls, and most importantly, molds. You need to create molds for tools, so we can proceed with the earliest form of metalworks and pave our way into the Copper Age. So first things first, run outside and buy yourself some clay, which is easier said than done. That's why whenever you find something even slightly important, you mark it on the map. Clay is most likely found in moist places. Best search not far from water sources. Found it? Well, let's mark it on the map. Bring that shit back home. Sit your ass down and start making shapes by hand. This is your first introduction to the whole voxel hunting family of crafts, where you create and edit blocks and items 1 pixel at a time, alongside other brush options. Phew, there we go. Done. No, you ain't! Shit's soft, man. Gotta harden it. Make fire pits. Place sticks and dry grass alongside something flammable, such as coal, firewood, or peat. Peat is honestly best because it's not hard to find, and it doesn't waste valuable resources such as coal. all. Now you wait a day or two and do other things in the meantime, like start exploring for copper nuggets, which you can rarely find just laying around on the ground, which takes ages, so you gotta go for a more tried and true process, panning. Make a wooden pan, find some sand, and start shaking that shit, boy. Shake and shake to find abysmal dog shit until you hit that 40 units of copper nuggets. It takes about 20 units of metal per tool, and since to start progressing you need both a pickaxe and a hammer, that means you need at least 40 units of copper to get anywhere. Oh, you got it? Oh boy, here comes the copper age. Let's melt that copper in a pot, and it's not melting, and that's because firewood doesn't burn hot enough to melt even the softest of metals. As a matter of fact, every element in the game has its own melting point. Therefore, you need charcoal. Let's deforest the closest to 100 meters of proximity, go through 5 to 10 flint axes, and get a shit ton of firewood. Dig a massive hole for the charcoal pit, fill it up with firewood, lit a single block of it on fire, and instantly close it off. Now you gotta wait a day or two until it's all blacked. Then you get a pair of tongs, a crucible, and a mold, and do basic science. After the copper cools off, congratulations, you're now officially in the Copper Age. And this is where the game just absolutely blows your socks off. You start discovering so many processes, so many new materials, so many crafting recipes. Alloy mixing. Time to get to the Bronze Age. Let's find tin to make tin bronze. 90% copper, 10% tin. What? Can't find tin in your area? Okay, let's make bismuth bronze instead, which instead requires bismuth and zinc. Feeling extra fancy with silver and gold? Let's make black bronze. There's so much shit to do, man. What are you waiting for? Grab a pickaxe and go mining. You can prospect with a prospecting pickaxe, which gives you an idea of what kind of ores you can find in a cave. You create pots and ovens to discover cooking. There's so many food recipes, it's generally insane. Combine different ingredients together to make dishes. Create an underground cellar. Start filling it with crocks of food. Seal them with fat so they last longer, because food actually spoils. Create your first anvil and forge and experience the fruits of manual labor, as you can now make a shit ton of new tools, all of which needed to be manually crafted at the forge. You discover even more things, such as the saw. You can now saw wood into planks. You learn that there are bazillion tree types, tree blocks, wood block types, furnitures, utilities. Make a bucket and a shit ton of barrels to store and make liquids. Create proper chests or even crates, and much more. Forge your own weapons and armors of all kind. With bronze being the first reliable metal to make armor, you find yourself in the archaic age. You can make plate armor, scale armor, chain armor, lamellar armor, and more. And all of them have their own properties, craft processes, and utilities. Some are easier to make, others are harder and more expensive. One of the other game-changing tools is the glorious, the beautiful, the incredible chisel. The chisel is what absolutely carries the endless creativity of Vintage Story. You can craft any shape of anything you want out of blocks. You can even merge and combine materials and make custom blocks, custom furniture, decorations, statues, windows, fences, walls, and basically anything you want. You can edit any block with pixel-perfect precision. We call this chisel autism. I legit had streams where I spent like 60% of the stream chiseling interiors of our town hall. It is just so addicting. And if you like building and decorating, this exact feature, built in the vanilla game, is what will make you forget Minecraft exists. You go up to the Iron Age, make bloomeries, make farms with a lot of seeds to grow, different soil types and fertilizers, build greenhouses to protect your farm from the winter, breed animals by catching a male and a female of a type and feed them slop, become a beekeeper, bringing bees, making honey and essential beeswax, make a juicer to turn berries into juice and start brewing alcohol. Yes, there's a full-on alcohol making system with distillers, boilers, and everything. You can even make wine, brandy, mead, ale, and all sorts of drinks so that you can become a drunkard and roleplay as your dad, neglecting your responsibilities in game just like he does in real life. Become a tailor and start making clothing by farming flax, turn it into twine, and stitching it all together. Make different dyes and barrels by mixing ingredients with water so you can make different colored clothing, and many other things. Oh, and don't get me started on leather and hide. This is probably one of the most complex yet gratifying systems. And of course, Vintage Story has its own power system. While in Minecraft you got the boring and nonsensical redstone system, here you got based and grounded windmills. Connect windmills with axles and gears, and you can power a bunch of things, such as a grinder to turn a bunch of things into powder, or a held hammer that pounds things flat on an anvil, making your smithing life much easier. And every aspect matters, from how tall your windmill is to how big your sails are, and sometimes wind just ain't picking up, man. And there are billions of things I haven't mentioned yet, like how complex and awesome the weather and seasons are, as the winters are generally terrifying with food becoming more scarce, and you gotta make sure you have warm clothing as the ready, or risk freezing to death. And the world is filled with ruins of previous civilization, with dungeons filled with unique items, blocks, furnitures, as well as blueprints for new crafts, which really rewards exploring. The deeper you dig down underground, the scarier and more dangerous the monsters become. Careful you don't dig down too far and fall in some Dark Souls boss's head. The longer you spend underground, the more your sanity drops. Sanity is actually an integral part of the game, as once a drops down to 0, you're going to meet Dave. You also have temporal storms that happen every now and then, and basically corrupt the entire world for a period of time, dropping your sanity and spawning endless hordes of monsters, forcing you to seek shelter indoors. The world of Vintage Story is generally very hostile, as the higher the activity, the more rifts spawn all over the world, bringing in the creatures. The game's crafting in vanilla goes all the way up to late steel, with every new invention unlocking new branches of crafting recipes and overall things to do. The world is also filled with NPCs and traders that you can talk to, trade with, ask about rumors, and get quests from. And it's convenient as hell. But you know what else is convenient as hell? Modding. An absolutely insanely user-friendly modding experience. Mods are downloaded and updated with the press of a button. All work together to enhance the vanilla experience. Things like the combat and arsenal overhauls, which give you Mountain Blade style combat alongside numerous new weapons, and optionally even offer crossbows and arquebus, allowing you to progress all the way to Renaissance. More crafting recipes, more in-depth expansions of in-game mechanics such as tailoring, butchering, and smithing, new lines of work and crafts such as alchemy and expanded alcohol brewing, more armors, more actions, more immersion. I personally love adding mods that don't stray from vanilla but rather expand on it and feel seamlessly integrated into the base game. And you know what else is user-friendly as fuck? The multiplayer. Host servers, save and backup save files, join each other's peer-to-peer games, create public lobbies. It's all instant and free. And of course, you automatically download all the mods as soon as you join. It literally couldn't be simpler. Multiplayer opens an insane amount of gameplay opportunities. Form communities, villages, cities, guilds, with all the players, PvP, PvE, roleplay, and it's all very optimized for the most part. There's just something magical about Vintage Story, and especially how well it all works together. You can handpick any single task and just sink hours into it and not get bored. Spend a whole day blacksmithing, spend a whole day leatherworking, spend an entire day exploring and monster killing. The choices are limitless. It's all just complex enough to be endlessly fun and not mundane or tiring. I don't know about you, but I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. With that being said, I think I'm gonna stop talking now. Thank you guys for listening to me yap, and I'll see you next time. A very special thanks to Sniper Monkey, Mr. Pratt Stan, Corny, Super Cheppy, Skook, Saratokai, Another Foxboy, Magic Generalis, Princey, Candy's Back, Friend, Waiter89GG, Choo Choo Spielex, Sensei, Nunya, Random Guy 21, Shmoowick, and Putty Rumple for being a Brolic Tier 4 member. I love you.